Coraline necklace. And I believe the first episode was called The Holly Wobbles. Okay. It's your boy Icon with a DC animated television gun review for you. And, episode 2 coming up, and we're officially in backstory territory now. Because in the first episode, they introduced us to the characters, and this episode was specifically about the backstory of the bride. So I guess, I don't know how many episodes we're getting for the season, but it looks like, at least for now, the next 5 episodes are going to be dedicated to each individual character's backstory, which I'm perfectly fine with because I really need to know how the hell Nina got on this damn team. So before we get started, hit the notification bell, like it or subscribe to my channel, and let's get started with a little commando action. So in real quick, in the last episode, the doctor, the one who has the radiation powers, Dr. Formilius, or I can't remember this guy's name, Formidable or something. Like basically like the radiation doctor, he fought like Flag Senior in the last episode because he was trying to get the device from him that was being used to shock them with the bombs in their neck. Flag beat his ass, and then he was in the bathroom where the princess was attending to his wounds. And in the first episode, the princess basically got butt-ass naked and tried to do the deed with him, and he said the nay. This time, he was like, you know what? Fuck it, literally. And the two of them got it on. And yeah, like, if this is the type of stuff we're getting from the mind of James Gunn, I don't got a problem with that, because like that's as realistic as it gets. And then they were making jokes because like the guards came to the room and they were like, "Where's the princess?" And they were just like, "Wouldn't you like to know?" So, but then they found out that the bride and that Nina had left the palace. So then all of them got together, like all the guys got in the car and they went to go drive to their location. The bride and Nina went down to Frankenstein's laboratory because she was looking for something particular because, again, that's where she was born and that's where she was created from. Now, here's the interesting part about the backstory. She was created to be the bride of the monster because Frankenstein had created a monster, and when she created the monster, he wanted to build her a partner because the monster even said, I mean, they called him Frankenstein. I guess I'll call him Frankenstein. Frankenstein was just like, oh, you have a bride. Why don't I have a bride? Like, I would like companionship too. So he created a woman for her. He basically found like a bunch of dead women, took all their body parts and like put all their parts together to make the bride. And then he used his electrical shock therapy to bring her to life. When he brought her to life, when he brought her to term, when she came to life, obviously she was discombobulated. She didn't know who she was. And then he slowly had to introduce her to the world. She didn't really know how to, well, she knew how to speak. She didn't know words. So he was trying to teach her how to talk, what things are, what's a hat, what's a toy, what food is, and he was being very like kind to her. He was being very nice to her because this is a slow process. He even explained the whole process. Like, and the bride even said to Nina at one point, she said, God's gift to humanity is when you're born, you don't remember the trauma. She said, but with her, when she was born, she remembers the trauma. And she remembers that the doctor was the one that helped her through all that trauma. The problem with Frankenstein was he was so excited about having a bride, he was just trying to bum rush the process, and he was being very, very like overbearing. Like he was all up in her face, and then she kept screaming because like he was just like, he was like, "Oh, I love you." She was like, "Oh my God, who is this person?" And then he was even getting upset because he was like, "Oh," when the doctor was teaching her about words and about things, he was like, "Why does she need to know words?" And he was like, "Don't you want a bride that can speak?" Like he didn't have he just wanted her to automatically just love him, and like that was it, not understand that this is a process like that needs to be taken. But the problem was, it even got to the point where like Frankenstein actually got mad at one point because he's saying that the bride was basically drawn to the doctor and she was afraid of him. So he was like, "Oh, you failed because she was supposed to be for me and she doesn't love me. She doesn't like me." And he kept trying to tell her like, just give it time. Like, I just need time to get her, like immaculated into like society and into the world. The problem with that was, because he was the one that was basically like teaching her how to walk, how to talk, how to think, how to eat, how to do all sorts of things. He basically taught her about life and what life was. The two of them ended up having something for each other. And then when Frankenstein came upstairs to check on his bride, he saw her bent over the table, and the doctor was basically, So that devastated him. And then he ran away crying. And I'm just like, for a person who's this strong and he has the mind of like a child, because he's just like, "Ooh," like, why are you crying, dude? So then when the bride came to bring the doctor, because now she's like all in love with the doctor, when she came to bring the doctor some lemonade, she saw that Frankenstein had killed him. And then she was devastated. She was upset. And then he was like, oh, he was getting in the way with all his giggling and his gifts. Because he gave her a gift. Like, he gave her a necklace as a gift. And then, like, that's when he hit it. But, but because of that, Frankenstein was like, oh, he was a threat to our love, not realizing the girl don't like you. And then the two of them started fighting, burnt down the house with the bodies in it and everything. And then they got into this whole big thing throughout the next 100 years because she despises him and she hates his guts. She literally hates his guts. But he still wants to be with her. He still wants her to be his bride, which was crazy because when we find him in 2024, he's on a yacht somewhere with butt naked chicks all over the place. So I don't understand why he's still pining over this one specific chick when he can pretty much have anybody he wants. That was weird to me, but they showed us a montage of when she left like the laboratory that day and she tried to run away from him. He followed her. And then throughout the next 100 years, the two of them have been going through this thing where she runs, he finds her, the two of them fight each other, she kicks his ass, and then she runs away again. So they've been fighting for over 100 years. But they got to a point where I guess Frankenstein had lost track of her, probably because she got snatched up by Amanda Waller. And that old woman called him and she was like, hey, your bride is back. So now he's coming back to the house to collect his bride. But before we get to that point, so that's basically what's been going on with that whole thing. But then once Nina found the necklace, because the whole reason why the bride was still there, she was there to retrieve the necklace because it had sentimental value for the fact that she loved the doctor. When Nina found the necklace, she took the necklace. She was being a total bitch to Nina the whole time. But then when she found the necklace, Cersei showed up because remember, Cersei and the sons of Themyscira are on their way to Transylvania so they can go after, the princess and everything. But then she found the bride, and she found Nina first and she attacked them. And Nina doesn't fight. Like, I guess Nina can't fight. She has no skills. She just ran from the whole thing. I don't know why she ran, but Nina ran from the situation. The bride got into a fight with basically the sons of Themyscira and Cersei herself. She whooped, and I need to know, like, how did she learn how to fight? Maybe fighting Frankenstein all those years. That's where she got her skill from. But the bride basically like killed everybody. She killed all the sons of Themyscira. And then she started fighting Cersei, and blow for blow, she was actually whooping Cersei's ass. But then Cersei cheated by using magic, and then when she used her magic, she was able to, take advantage of the bride, and she knocked the bride off of a house. And then when she fell off the house, she went crashing, and then she hit the floor. Nina tried to run over to her, but then one of the other sons of Themyscira saw Nina, shot her, because Nina's wearing like a wetsuit with a fishbowl over her head because she can't breathe, and like regular air, she needs water. And they shot the bowl, and the bowl cracked. It shattered all over the place. And then Nina fell because now she can't breathe. She collapsed right next to the bride. So now the bride got her ass beat. Nina's suffocating over here. The sons of Themyscira knocked them both out and took them to God knows where. Rick Flag and the gang, they're still on their way. But I feel like what's going to happen is right before Cersei takes the two of them away to wherever it is she's going to take them, Frankenstein is going to show up and intervene and save his bride, quote unquote. I don't know if Frankenstein's going to join the Suicide Squad or is he just going to be a reoccurring character that just follows them all over the place. But that was how the episode ended, with them getting knocked out. Cersei's about to take power. And it's funny because Cersei's supposed to be on her way to the castle so she can take down the princess. The Suicide Squad or the Creature Commandos are supposed to be there to protect her, but instead of them being at the castle protecting the princess, they're on their way to the place where Cersei's about to leave, so they're gonna pass each other and the princess is totally fucked. That was how this episode ended, and thank you for tuning in. So it was good. Like I said, it was a good episode because it gave us the backstory of the bride. Next week's episode is going to be based around G.I. Rowe. Like, there's going to be his episode. I don't know how I feel about that one, but I do want to see where the backstories for each character, comes from, like particularly Nina, because like I said, this girl does not look like she belongs on Task Force M, and I'd like to know how she got there. But we're getting the robot episode in the next episode, so there's going to be some Nazi killing. But share your questions, comments, and concerns down below. and we will continue to talk about it. And I still hate the intro for the new DC. So what did you think about episode 2 of Creature Commandos? Do you like where this is headed so far? Do you like, the rated R aspects of it? Share your questions and we'll talk about it. Hit me up on X, on Instagram, on TikTok and YouTube, where you can leave your questions, comments, and concerns. Because as I said, right now, we're doing Creature Commandos until Marvel's What If starts, and we'll keep banging this stuff out for you as it comes to us with some more superhero goodness and everything else in between. So until next week, guys, as we review part 3 of Creature Commandos, signing off for the bride, and until then, we're out this.